Troublesome person? Chen heard the voice coming from the jade plate, and his expression changed slightly. Lin Jing's trump cards were endless, and with the help of the frost spirit puppet, even if they encountered someone like Zhu Yan, they could still have a fight. But since Zhu Yan was still trapped in the wind hall, who could it be that made Lin Jing feel troubled? Could it be that Garuda? Chen's gaze tightened. Though Garuda was only ranked 3rd on the strongest list, Chen didn't believe that this person's true power was weaker than that of Zhu Yan or Su Qingyan. It seems like he must hurry and go check it out. That Chen looked ahead, where fierce spiritual flames were burning. In the flames, the wind god fan floated quietly in the center. A drop of essence blood had been fully branded into the swirl of primordial yellow gale, forming a dark red mark. As the mark formed, Chen immediately felt a mysterious connection between himself and the wind god fan. Even if someone tried to forcefully take the fan from him now, all he needed to do was think, and the wind god fan would automatically resist. Such an attempt to use it against him would never succeed. Chen extended his palm, and the spiritual fire dissipated. The wind god fan fell into his hand, cool to the touch like jade. Holding the green feathered fan, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Now that he had truly refined the wind god fan, he could vaguely feel the immense power within it. However, to truly unleash its full potential, an enormous amount of spiritual energy would be required, something Chen couldn't do at this moment. Still, even without fully activating the fan, as a sacred artifact, just wielding it would undoubtedly elevate his combat strength. If he were to face Zhu Yan again now, even without the suppression of the Great Array, Chen could still battle him head-on using the wind god fan's power. Holding the wind god fan, Chen appeared quite elegant. He waved it slightly, then slowly put it away. His figure shifted, and he appeared on the other side of the stone towered in the sky above. Juyo floated in midair, surrounded by a gathering storm. Chen fixed his gaze on Juyo, his eyes flashing with a hint of surprise. Although he could clearly lock onto Juyo's position, for some reason, he had a feeling that if he attacked now, he wouldn't be able to hit her. She seemed to have become a gust of wind, elusive and hard to track. Chen observed Juyo. Her eyes, which had been slightly closed, suddenly opened. She looked down at him, and a faint smile appeared on her cold and beautiful face. However, just as Juyo smiled at him, Chen's pupils contracted slightly. He suddenly turned around and saw a graceful figure appear behind him. Quick reflexes, Juyo said with a smile as she looked at Chen. Chen was somewhat taken aback. He stared at Juyo, his voice slightly shaken. Your speed. Earlier, Juyo's speed had been so fast that it escaped his senses. If it weren't for his familiarity with her aura, he probably wouldn't have noticed her presence at all. Such speed was truly ghostly. This wind summoning art is no simple matter, Chen said seriously. Although Juyo's speed had been fast before, it wasn't far beyond Chen's reach. But now, this speed almost felt overwhelming, which meant that the wind summoning art was definitely no ordinary technique, that a simple divine ability could never have such power. This wind summoning art is indeed remarkable. Actually, to be precise, it's the complete form of wind summoning art that's not simple. Juyo nodded slightly and said, complete form. Chen was stunned. The complete form of wind summoning art is also called the Great Wind Summoning Art. That don't think it's just an extra word, Juyo said with a smile. It said that the Great Wind Summoning Art ranks among the 36 peerless divine abilities. A trace of uncontrollable excitement appeared on Juyo's delicate face. She had only realized this after cultivating the wind summoning art. This information had shocked her deeply. After all, the 36 peerless divine abilities were incredibly famous in the Great Thousand Worlds. Juyo had never imagined that the small divine ability she had obtained was actually an evolution of one of those legendary divine abilities. Great Wind Summoning Art, one of the 36 peerless divine abilities. Chen couldn't help but take a sharp breath, clearly stunned that he hadn't expected that the small divine technique he had obtained from the Wind Mansion's hall would have such a terrifying origin. It was one of the 36 peerless divine techniques. Even terrifying existences like the Heavenly Supreme would be tempted by such a technique. Although this wind summoning art was the true Great Wind Summoning Art, If there was a chance to perfect it in the future, its value is unimaginable. No wonder your speed became so terrifying after you mastered the wind summoning art. Chen finally understood and couldn't help but exclaim. This opportunity from the Nine Nether was truly astonishing. He had originally thought it was just a small divine technique, but who would have guessed it came from the so-called Great Wind Summoning Art? From his estimation, if Nine Nether fully activated the Wind Summoning Art, as long as she didn't encounter a true Earth Supreme, she could probably come and go as she pleased. The Lord of the Wind Mansion, although not the strongest among the 9 mansions, must definitely be the fastest when it comes to movement skills, Nine Nether said with a smile. Clearly, she couldn't hide her excitement after obtaining such a treasure. Chen nodded with a smile and said, since you've mastered the wind summoning art, we should head out. Now, Linjing is in some trouble. He then relayed the message Linjing had sent him earlier. Even Linjing can't handle it? Nine Nether's beautiful eyes narrowed after hearing this. Then we'd better hurry. Anyone who could give Linjing trouble was definitely no ordinary person. They needed to rush over quickly, or Linjing might suffer alone. Chen nodded, not wasting any time. His figure shot up into the sky like a streak of light, heading straight for the distant Dragon Island. As Chen vanished into the sky, Nine Nether, with her hands clasped behind her, stood firm. It seemed as if a strong wind had appeared beneath her feet, and she walked on air, effortlessly catching up to Chen. No matter how fast Chen sped up, he couldn't shake her off by even a step. The two of them moved at full speed, and the stone islands beneath their feet rapidly drifted past. In just a few minutes, they were approaching the Dragon Island where Linjing's message had originated. Outside Dragon Island, numerous powerful figures were still hovering, seemingly at a loss against the dragon breath poison that filled the island. They dared not enter but couldn't bring themselves to leave, so they hovered around, unwilling to give up. Dragon breath poison? Chen immediately recognized the overpowering poison mist, though he wasn't overly surprised. After a brief pause, he and Nine Nether charged into the island. As they entered, transparent flames surged from their bodies, the undying flame. However, Nine Nether's mastery of the flame was clearly superior, making her undying flame more refined and pure. Chen only intended to use the undying flame to shield against the poison mist, as long as it served the purpose. Once on the island, they headed straight for the deeper parts. It wasn't long before they sensed a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy coming from a certain area. That was likely where Linjing was, and judging by the intensity of the energy, it seemed like a fierce battle was underway. Chen and Nine Nether quickly approached the source of the spiritual energy fluctuations. As they neared, spiritual energy surged around them, clearly indicating they were ready to strike at any moment. Whoosh! The two of them shot forward. The poison mist that had once filled the air thinned out, likely due to the fierce battle up ahead releasing immense spiritual energy. Chen immediately spotted two figures locked in intense combat amidst a ruined landscape. These two figures were surrounded by fierce spiritual energy, rising like columns of light, their power immense. Whoosh! Chen, watching the clash, clenched his hand. The Crimson Dragon battle spear appeared in his grasp, and with a surge of spiritual energy, he thrust the spear into the air. It shot through the sky like a dragon bearing its fangs, unleashing devastating force. The spear pierced through the two battling figures, and the violent explosion of spiritual energy forced them apart. The two figures quickly retreated. However, when Linjing saw the Crimson Dragon battle spear, a look of joy appeared on her face. She quickly called out, "Hurry and catch her. Don't let her escape." Chen appeared beside Linjing. After a quick glance to confirm she wasn't seriously hurt, he sighed in relief, and then turned his attention to the figure not far away. He was curious to see who this person was. Someone capable of pushing Linjing to such an extent. Chen's gaze shifted, and he saw a woman standing proudly on a pile of shattered rocks, dressed in a colorful skirt. Her enchanting charm was so striking that even he was momentarily stunned. His eyes moved upward, and he noticed that the thin veil covering her face had been torn apart during the earlier fierce battle, leaving her face fully exposed. With just a glance, Chen could clearly see her features. She's so beautiful, was Chen's first thought. Why does she look so familiar, was his second thought. Chen froze for a moment, his gaze fixed on the graceful woman in the colorful skirt. For a moment, his mind seemed to freeze, as if processing the scene. After a brief pause, he suddenly snapped out of his trance, his eyes widening in shock. On the ruins, the woman in the colorful skirt stepped lightly over the broken stones. Her long hair cascaded like waves, exuding an alluring air. Her captivating beauty was enough to stir anyone's heart. At her delicate shoulder, a small seven-colored snake coiled, adding an unusual beauty to her appearance. However, as Chen stared at her enchanting face, his eyes gradually widened, and his expression turned strange. Because the face before him was so familiar, it was unmistakably Kai Xiao, who had entered Dragon Phoenix Heaven with Chen. Or perhaps it should be called Xiao Xiao. The daughter of the legendary Flame Emperor, with a background as formidable as Lin Jing's, enough to shock anyone. Chen never expected the troublesome enemy Lin Jing had mentioned to be her. This was truly a case of the flood has hit the Dragon King Temple. As Chen stood in stunned silence, Xiao Xiao also saw him clearly and froze for a moment. Then, a playful, half-smiling expression appeared on her face. "Hey, Chen, what are you doing?" Lin Jing, noticing Chen's odd behavior, asked with a puzzled look. Xiao Xiao gently stroked the small snake on her shoulder, teasingly saying, "Tsk tisk, it's been more than a year. When did you start moonlighting as a thug, Chen?" Upon hearing this, Lin Jing and Nine Nether both paused, then looked at Chen in astonishment. "You know her?" Chen gave a bitter smile and said, "She's also my friend. We once ventured together into the Dragon Phoenix Heaven in the Northern Domain." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing blinked her big eyes in surprise. Though she didn't say anything, it was clear that she felt a little awkward. After all, this situation made it hard to know what to say. Her powerful spiritual energy was also quietly retracted at this moment. Since the woman before them was Chen's friend, this conflict could obviously not continue. Lin Jing, coming from an extraordinary background, though a woman, still carried herself with grace and would not harbor any ill feelings. Toward Xiao Xiao, due to their earlier altercation, the ice spirit puppet, who had been lurking in the shadows, trying to find an opportunity to strike, finally revealed itself. Drifting back behind Lin Jing. Lin Jing withdrew her spiritual energy and extinguished her battle intent. Xiao Xiao also retracted her spiritual energy, patting the seven-colored snake. The snake immediately coiled back onto her shoulder. Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Both sides were friends, so if they had actually fought, he would have had a real headache. Xiao Xiao walked up to him, and Chen smiled at her. Then he pointed to Nine Nether and introduced her. "This is Nine Nether. She and I are both in the Great Luo Heaven Domain of the Northern Domain. We're old friends." Then he pointed to Lin Jing. "This is Lin Jing. Her father is the martial ancestor." He turned back to Nine Nether and Lin Jing, saying, "This is Xiao Xiao. Her father is the Flame Emperor." Upon hearing Chen's words, all three women were momentarily stunned. Then, they looked at each other in disbelief. The martial ancestor and the Flame Emperor were figures so powerful that just their names could shake the entire Great Thousand Worlds. However, these two legendary figures were rarely seen together. It was almost unimaginable that their daughters would meet in this way. "So, she's the daughter of the martial ancestor," Xiao Xiao said with a touch of astonishment. "The name of the martial ancestor is highly respected by my father. I never expected to meet the little princess of the martial realm today. What a coincidence." Lin Jing's bright eyes sparkled, and she said excitedly, "So the Flame Emperor is your father, sister? I've heard my father speak highly of him many times. I'm really in awe of him. If I had known your identity earlier, I would have insisted on giving you the Dragon Spirit Pearl." Lin Jing had always been proud of her father since she was young, so naturally, she admired the Flame Emperor, who was on par with her father. Upon learning that the person in front of her, Xiao Xiao, was the Flame Emperor's daughter, her excitement was genuine and not feigned. Kai Xiao smiled faintly, feeling a bit relieved that Chen arrived just in time. Otherwise, if they had truly gotten angry and started using their trump cards, it could have resulted in some damage. And to go against each other over a single Dragon Spirit Pearl seemed to be an unwise move. Chen noticed that the two women had let go of their previous grudges, feeling somewhat relieved. Both women came from prestigious backgrounds, and despite their different temperaments, they were probably both quite proud at their core. He had truly been worried that their small tempers might cause friction, and if that happened, he would have been caught in the middle, with no one siding with him. Thankfully, these two young ladies were still graceful, not petty like ordinary women. "Why are you at the ancient heavenly palace?" Chen asked Xiao Xiao, surprised. "The ancient heavenly palace was created by the heavenly emperor. I just happened to be in a breakthrough period, so I decided to stop by. I originally thought of finding you in the Northern Domain, but I figured you wouldn't miss something like this, so I came directly," Xiao Xiao replied with a smile, then glanced at Chen with her beautiful eyes, surprised. Your strength has really improved quickly. When they were in the Dragon and Phoenix Sky, Chen was only a 3rd grade Supreme. Yet in less than 2 years, he had reached the 9th grade Supreme level. Even Xiao Xiao was taken aback by his rapid cultivation speed. Not faster than you. Chen shrugged. When he had arrived earlier, Xiao Xiao had not hidden her spiritual energy, and its power was so immense that it could even rival Zhu Yan's. Clearly, she was also at the peak of the 9th grade, even at the top tier of that level. Is this the Dragon Spirit Pearl? Chen turned his gaze to the crystal orb on the bone throne amidst the ruins. It seemed that Lin Jing and Xiao Xiao had clashed over this very item. Lin Jing and Xiao Xiao exchanged an awkward glance and nodded slightly, both a little embarrassed. How do you plan to divide it? Chen asked. There was only one Dragon Spirit Pearl, so naturally, it could only go to one person. However, he clearly wasn't going to make the decision for them. Lin Jing smiled and said, "Give it to Xiao's sister. She hasn't obtained the token yet, and this item isn't absolutely necessary for me." Though rare, the Dragon Spirit Pearl was not something that Lin Jing, with her status, hadn't seen before. In her eyes, the value of the Dragon Spirit Pearl was far outweighed by her friendship with Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao hesitated for a moment upon hearing Lin Jing's choice, but then nodded in gratitude. "Thank you, Lin Jing. This item does have some use for our team, that if we come across other treasures later, I will compensate you." The colorful little snake on her shoulder slithered out again and excitedly flicked its tongue in the direction of the Dragon Spirit Pearl. "You're too polite, Xiao's sister, to go ahead and take it," Lin Jing said with a grin. Xiao Xiao nodded slightly and, with light steps, moved toward the bone throne. However, just as she was about to step within a 100-foot radius of the throne, Chen suddenly appeared beside her and stretched out his arm to stop her. Huh. Xiao Xiao was stunned, looking at Chen, then turned to Lin Jing. 9 Nether quickly approached, clearly puzzled about what Chen meant. "What's wrong?" 9 Nether, who understood Chen the most, knew he wasn't after the Dragon Spirit Pearl. If he had stopped Xiao Xiao, it meant he had noticed something. Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing both narrowed their eyes. That Chen stared at the bone throne and then glanced around the ruins. He nodded slightly and said, "This ruin is a bit strange." Earlier, when Kai Xiao approached, Chen had faintly sensed some hidden fluctuations in the ruins. The energy was subtle, so even Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing hadn't noticed it. Chen squatted down and placed his palm on the ground, his eyes half closed. Xiao Xiao, Lin Jing, and 9 Nether spread out to protect him in the center. Chen's actions lasted for a while before his eyes suddenly snapped open, and a faint glow seemed to emanate from his palm. He then calmly said, "Indeed, there is something wrong." Boom! As his voice fell, he slammed his palm down forcefully. A visible wave of spiritual energy erupted from his palm, spreading outward rapidly from the center of his hand. Bang! 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 Explosive sounds echoed through the ruins as countless massive boulders were violently shattered, and the ground seemed to begin to collapse. With the earth collapsing, Lin Jing, Xiao Xiao, and Jiuyu immediately saw streams of spiritual energy light emerging from the ground. These rays of light connected, forming a massive spiritual array centered around the bone throne. What shocked them the most was that deep beneath the collapsing earth, they saw a giant white dragon coiled. However, this dragon was surrounded by an aura of death, its massive eyes devoid of any life. It lay quietly beneath the ground, motionless as if it were a corpse. No wonder Xiao Xiao and the others had. He noticed it, while Chen could sense it, only because the spiritual array buried beneath the ground had masked its presence. "It's a corpse puppet dragon." Xiao Xiao stared at the white dragon surrounded by death energy, her eyes widening in surprise. They weren't particularly fearful of the corpse puppet dragon itself, but the spiritual array it was connected to made them feel an imminent sense of danger. "What kind of spiritual array is this?" Xiao Xiao asked, her voice tinged with caution. She had a bad feeling. If she entered this array unprepared, she would be in serious trouble. "This is a corpse spiritual array. If you step into it, your spiritual energy will be suppressed. Based on the death energy I see gathering in it, even a peak 9th grade expert would be reduced to around 7th grade, Chen replied. Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing were both startled. If they were suppressed to the level of 7th grade supreme, they'd surely be swallowed whole by the corpse puppet dragon. They hadn't expected such a deadly trap to be hidden within these ruins. So, what do we do now? Xiao Xiao furrowed her brow. Breaking the array by force could endanger the dragon spirit pearl. Mu Chen smiled faintly at her question. Leave the spiritual array to me. As Mu Chen's words fell, his hands quickly formed seals. Waves of spiritual light surged as spiritual seals formed from his hands, speeding through the air and merging into the array. This corpse spiritual array was no simple formation. Mu Chen estimated that in its complete state, it would qualify as a Grandmaster level array. Fortunately, after thousands of years of erosion, the array was on the brink of collapse, with many flaws exposed, giving him confidence. As the spiritual seals continuously merged into the array began to shake. Some of the rays of spiritual energy seemed disturbed and started to fade into illusion. Mu Chen didn't intend to completely dismantle the array, as it would take too much time. Instead, he chose a more efficient method, destroying the core parts of the array to create chaos, causing the array to lose balance and collapse on its own. As the corpse spiritual array shook, Xiao Xiao's eyes brightened, and she looked at Mu Chen with more astonishment. She clearly hadn't expected his spiritual array skills to have reached this level. Buzz. Buzz. The array emitted subtle tremors, and waves of chaotic spiritual energy erupted from it. Finally, the weakened array could no longer withstand the strain and exploded with a loud crash. Spiritual energy light points filled the air, and with the collapse of the array, the surrounding death energy surged out in a vast wave, turning the entire area cold and eerie. Fortunately, Mu Chen and the others had prepared in advance. A torrent of spiritual energy enveloped their bodies, protecting them as they stood firm, unaffected by the death energy's assault. After several minutes, the death energy dissipated completely. Xiao Xiao, Lin Jing, and the others looked up, revealing expressions of relief. The corpse spiritual array had indeed been completely shattered. Not bad. 3 days apart, and you've truly earned my respect. Xiao Xiao chuckled, clearly impressed by Mu Chen's abilities. She knew that if she had been in his place, she would have had to resort to more troublesome methods to break the array, methods that would have been inefficient and risky, especially if they had accidentally damaged the fragile dragon spirit pearl. That would have been a true loss. There's also this corpse puppet dragon. Mu Chen pointed to the white dragon beneath the earth, its body suffused with death energy. This creature was also troublesome. Its death energy was extremely domineering, and if it were to enter someone's body, it would inevitably cause severe damage. I'll handle this myself. Xiao Xiao smiled slightly, her smile dazzling, making the world around them seem to glow a little brighter. She extended her jade hand, took down the colorful little snake from her shoulder, and gently patted its little snake head. Whoosh! The colorful little snake immediately stood upright. With a whoosh, it transformed into a streak of multicolored light and shot out, appearing above the white dragon in the blink of an eye. Roar. Although the white dragon had already fallen, it still retained some. Instinct.it let out a deep dragon roar, then opened its dragon mouth, releasing a torrent of gray death energy. As the death energy spread, even the surrounding space dimmed. However, facing the massive death energy from the white dragon, the colorful little snake remained motionless. Just as the death energy was about to envelop it, the snake slowly opened its mouth, within which a black light seemed to condense. Hiss. The mouth of the colorful little snake was large, but at that moment it seemed to transform into a black hole, releasing an incredible suction force, instantly devouring the rolling death energy into its body. After absorbing such an immense amount of death energy, the colorful little snake showed no sign of being harmed. It continued to wriggle and move about energetically. Mu Chen, Lin Jing, and the 3 from 9 Nether were all stunned. This colorful little snake was so powerful that it could even devour such death energy. Hiss, hiss. After swallowing the immense death energy, the colorful little snake suddenly opened its mouth again, emitting a hissing sound. Then, a black hole appeared from its mouth, releasing black light that coiled around the white dragon's body. Finally, the suction force exploded, forcibly pulling the white dragon closer, inch by inch, toward the black hole. Although the white dragon struggled wildly, without any intelligence, it could not break free. Instead, it was pulled tighter and tighter until it was sucked into the swirling black hole. The white dragon disappeared into the black hole in the blink of an eye, and the colorful little snake opened its mouth again. Swallowing the black hole back into its body. It seemed to let out a satisfied burp before lazily floating back to Xiao Xiao's jade hand, slipping back into her sleeve. Mu Chen and the others stared, dumbfounded. In just a few minutes, the corpse puppet dragon was dealt with. Though the corpse puppet dragon lacked intelligence, it was strong enough to rival a perfect ninth-grade expert. Even if they had fought it themselves, they would have had to exert some effort. Yet, it was so easily devoured by the colorful little snake. What kind of divine beast is this? Chen couldn't help but ask. This is the colorful sky-swallowing python. It's not a divine beast from the Great Thousand Worlds, but once it grows, it can rival the true supreme divine beast of the Great Thousand Worlds. Xiao Xiao explained. Linjing, curious, said, I once heard my father mention that in the boundless fire domain, there is a mistress who has a mysterious little snake that can swallow the heavens and devour the earth. It once swallowed an upper earth supreme alive. They say even powerful members of the dragon clan fear that snake. That would be my mother, Xiao Xiao said with a bright smile. But the snake my mother has is much stronger than mine. The reason mine could easily devour that corpse puppet dragon earlier is simply because it had no intelligence and didn't know how to avoid it. Otherwise, if it had escaped the range of the swallow, it would have easily avoided it. Chen clicked his tongue in admiration. This sky-swallowing python was the first time he had heard of it, but judging by its power, once it truly grows, it will undoubtedly be a world-shaking existence. The boundless fire domain truly has an extraordinary foundation. Just a mistress alone is this terrifying. One wonders how formidable the legendary Flame Emperor must be. Perhaps, even among the Heavenly Supreme, they would be enough to dominate. After dealing with the corpse puppet dragon, Xiao Xiao walked toward the bone throne without any more obstacles. She stretched out her jade hand, and the dragon spirit pearl slowly floated up, landing in her hand. As the dragon spirit pearl lay in Xiao Xiao's hand, the colorful little snake emerged again, opened its mouth, and swallowed it whole. Then, Chen and the others saw a faint glow emanating from the little snake's body. The colorful patterns on its body seemed to become even more vibrant. After swallowing the dragon spirit pearl, the sky-swallowing python seemed to have consumed a lot of energy. It immediately crawled back into Xiao Xiao's sleeve, no longer emerging. Chen looked at the scene in surprise, sensing vaguely that after the heaven-swallowing python had swallowed the dragon spirit pearl, even the fluctuations of spiritual energy emanating from Xiao Xiao's body seemed to have grown more powerful. It seemed that Xiao Xiao and the heaven-swallowing python shared an incredibly unique connection, allowing their spiritual energies to resonate with each other. A satisfied smile appeared on Xiao Xiao's delicate face. It seemed that the effect of the dragon spirit pearl was quite remarkable. She lifted her jade-like hand, and a light pattern suddenly appeared on the back of her fair, porcelain-like hand. It depicted a coiled dragon, clearly a symbol of the Lord of the Dragon Mansion. Congratulations, Chen said with a smile. With the Dragon Mansion Lord's token, Xiao Xiao is now qualified to undergo the Heavenly River Baptism. Thank you. Xiao Xiao smiled back at Chen. If it hadn't been for Chen arriving in time, she probably would have had to deal with Linjing for much longer, and the outcome was uncertain. After all, Linjing was the little princess of the martial realm, and it was hard to believe that she didn't have any trump cards up her sleeve. Let's go. Now that we have the treasure, let's head straight to the heavenly pool, Chen said. Although there were other mansions they hadn't yet explored, he didn't intend to search for all of them. After all, gathering too many tokens would be pointless, and it could attract the hostility of other forces. If they provoked too many enemies, it would be troublesome. Given that many of the people entering the ancient heavenly palace had powerful backers with true Earth Supreme figures, provoking too many factions could lead to trouble. Even Mandala might not be able to handle it. Linjing, Xiao Xiao, and the Nine Nether also nodded. With their tokens in hand, they had no greed to claim the tokens from other mansion lords. Thus, the four of them immediately set off, soaring into the sky, breaking through the thick poisonous fog, and heading toward the island outside the Stone Island. Meanwhile, outside the Dragon Island, more and more groups of people were gathering. After all, there were countless floating islands in the ancient heavenly palace, most of which were concealed by spiritual arrays. Searching each one would be a waste of time. But now that the Dragon Island was exposed, people naturally rushed toward it. In the air above the Stone Island, a large group of people stood, occupying the closest positions to the island, forming a domineering line of defense to prevent anyone else from approaching. Although some of the other groups were displeased with their actions, they had no choice but to accept it. The lineup of this group was so powerful that it made everyone nervous. Among the dozens of people, at least 10 were at the peak 9th grade level, and these individuals were no ordinary figures. They ranked in the top 15 on the strongest list. especially the leader of this group, a man draped in golden ropes. He was handsome, exuding a calm and composed demeanor, and his smile gave off an imposing sense of authority that left everyone in awe. This man was none other than the crown prince of the great Xia dynasty, Xiaoyu. Crown prince, aren't we going in? A powerful figure beside Xiaoyu asked in a low voice. Xiaoyu chuckled lightly and replied, "Let others handle the exploration. If anyone truly manages to come out with a treasure, we'll invite them for a good discussion." The strong man immediately understood. Xiaoyu's strategy was ruthless. As long as they stayed here, any treasure brought out from the Dragon Island would fall into their hands. Given that, they let others risk their lives in exploration. Xiaoyu smiled and was about to speak when his heart suddenly stirred. His eyes narrowed as he looked toward the thick poisonous fog, noticing movement. Soon after, he saw a figure shooting out from within. When Xiaoyu recognized the figure, he was first stunned, then a slight, mocking smile curled at the corner of his mouth. It was that kid Chen. It seemed this guy's luck was truly bad. As Chen emerged from the dense poisonous fog, he immediately felt a gaze fixed on him, sharp as a blade. His brow furrowed, and he looked up, locking eyes with Xiaoyu's gaze. Xiaoyu's lips curled into a smile, but beneath the smile, there was an unmistakable hint of mockery and amusement. Clearly, he was somewhat surprised and pleased to have run into Chen here. After experiencing initial shock, Chen regained his composure when he saw Xiaoyu's gaze. However, deep in his eyes, a sharp glint flickered. When they entered the space passage to the ancient heavenly palace, Xiaoyu harbored malicious intentions. He actually tried to break their passage, attempting to kill them in the chaotic spatial flow. Truly, his heart was as venomous as could be. "Hiki, Brother Mu, it seems you've gained something here on Dragon Island. Would you care to come and have a chat?" Xiaoyu said with a gentle smile as he looked at Chen from a distance. Around Xiaoyu, dozens of powerful figures glared at Chen with unfriendly eyes, as though they were looking at prey trapped in their trap. Of course, they had every reason to feel confident. Their lineup was frighteningly powerful, consisting of nearly 10 top figures from the strongest list of the Tianluo continent, all of whom had reached the peak 9th grade. Not to mention, there was the more terrifying Xiaoyu, ranked 4th, whose power had reached the perfect 9th grade. He was a true pinnacle figure among the younger generation of Tianluo continent. In contrast, Chen was merely a newcomer to the 9th grade. An insignificant young man who could be easily dealt with. Behind Xiaoyu, Xia Hong, who had lost an arm, stared at Chen with a venomous gaze, his eyes full of satisfaction as he likely imagined what fate awaited Chen once he fell into their hands. Others on the Stone Island also saw this scene, shaking their heads in pity as they cast sympathetic glances at Chen. This guy was truly unlucky. The moment he stepped out, he ran into Xiaoyu and his group. Given Xiaoyu's temperament, if Chen were to fall into his hands, regardless of whether he had obtained treasures on Dragon Island, he would most likely be flayed alive. Amidst the sympathy, Chen smiled faintly at Xiaoyu and shook his head, saying, "We're not familiar, so never mind." Hearing Chen's response, Xiaoyu froze for a moment before shaking his head and laughing. "You fool, did you think Brother Xia was asking for your opinion?" A man beside Xiaoyu, radiating with immense spiritual energy, sneered and said, "Since you're not coming willingly, I'll just invite you myself." Boom. At the moment the sneer fell, a vast wave of spiritual energy erupted from the man's body, his power clearly reaching the peak 9th grade. This man was no weakling. Ranked 15th on the strongest list, he was considered a prodigy. The man's spiritual energy surged as he took a step forward, his figure appearing like a shadow in front of Chen. His large hand glowed with spiritual light, instantly expanding to over 100 feet in size, and then it came crashing down toward Chen. Attempting to capture him, his move immediately caused many onlookers to gasp in surprise, whispering, "That's Lu Qiu, ranked 15th on the strongest list." Lu Qiu's physical strength is formidable. He once killed 3 9th grade Supremes with a single punch. That kid has no idea how high the sky is, daring to argue with Xiaoyu. Even if he hands over the treasure now, he'll probably be crippled. Amid the whispers, Chen raised his head and looked up at the massive hand descending toward him. A cold glint seemed to flash in his pitch-black eyes. In the next instant, golden light erupted from his body, and the sound of dragon and phoenix roars echoed within him. From his right arm, the spirit of the true dragon and phoenix appeared, their dragon claws and phoenix wings extending, perfectly matching Chen's 5 fingers. A terrifying force, like a raging river, erupted from Chen's arm. Without expression, he threw a punch, sending golden light soaring into the sky, which collided head-on with the descending giant hand. "You're courting death." Lu Qiu's face twisted into a more vicious snarl when he saw Mu Chen daring to clash with him head-on. But just as his malicious grin spread, his pupils suddenly constricted. He was horrified to feel an almost earth-shattering force emanating from the punch of the young man before him. Faintly, he thought he heard the sounds of a dragon's and phoenix's cries. Boom! A visible shockwave of spiritual energy exploded in the air, covering a vast area. Countless powerful figures looked toward the source of the impact, their expressions changing dramatically as though they had seen something unbelievable. What they witnessed was a shocking sight. In the intense collision, Lu Qiu's body seemed to be struck with tremendous force, and he was sent flying backward in a disheveled state. He was actually sent flying by Mu Chen, who looked like nothing more than someone just entering the 9th grade. How was this possible? Countless strong individuals were stunned, unable to comprehend how the scene before them was real. In their original assumptions, Mu Chen should have been the one who was battered by a single palm from Lu Qiu. Boom. Yet, no matter how hard they tried to believe otherwise, Lu Qiu's body was indeed sent flying, and at this moment, Xiaoyu also noticed the scene. His eyes narrowed, and with a cold expression, he raised his hand and pressed it forward. Lu Qiu's body seemed to be caught by an invisible hand, freezing in place, unable to retreat a single step. Hey, truly impressive. Xiaoyu smiled faintly at Mu Chen, his expression still showing little emotion. After all, with the current situation, there was no way Mu Chen could escape. A mere Lu Qiu, while somewhat capable, was nothing compared to the other figures in Xiaoyu's lineup. Hand over the treasures you obtained from Dragon Island and sever an arm. I'll let you go, Xiaoyu said, his eyelids lowered as he spoke casually. Mu Chen simply smiled lightly at the words. Though he didn't speak, his attitude made his response clear without a word. Xiaoyu's eyes, now narrowed with a cold gleam, filled with a chilling intent. To him, Mu Chen was foolish beyond measure, unable to even see his position. Yet, he still acted so confidently. Truly, he was courting death. He raised his hand, clearly preparing to make his move. After all, he didn't. He think Mu Chen deserved to be handled personally by him. However, just as Xiaoyu raised his hand, a fluctuation rippled through the poisonous mist above Dragon Island, and 3 figures suddenly shot out, stopping behind Mu Chen. TSK. Mu Chen, you really know how to stir up trouble. Stepping out for just a moment, and you're already in hot water. When the 3 figures appeared, a sweet and charming voice followed. The sudden appearance of Linjing, Xiao, and 9 Nether caused a momentary pause among the forces of the great Xia dynasty, but once they saw that it was just 3 women, they relaxed a bit. So there are 3 such beautiful girls. Boy, do you think they'll protect you? I think you'd better obediently hand over the treasures from Dragon Island. One of the men beside Xiaoyu, with a sharp monkey-like face, glinted at the 3 women, then sneered. As soon as the words left his mouth, a cold gleam flickered in Xiao Zhao's beautiful eyes. Without hesitation, she raised her jade hand and, with a swift motion, sent a slap through the air. Smack! The space seemed to ripple. The next moment, the man who had spoken was slapped so hard that blood splattered across his face, and he was spun around in the air. The many strong individuals from the great Xia dynasty were immediately shocked. They glared angrily at Xiao, not expecting her to make a move against their people in this situation. However, only Xiaoyu's eyes narrowed slightly, as he recognized the incredible speed and precision of Xiao Zhao's seemingly casual slap. This enchanting woman, she was certainly no simple character. Hiki, the treasures from Dragon Island are things we've worked hard to obtain. Why should we give them to you? Linjing chuckled lightly, speaking as though it was no big deal. Behind Xiaoyu, Xia Hong, who had lost an arm to Mu Chen, grinned coldly and said, Why? Because we're stronger than you, and my imperial brother is a golden dragon disciple of the ancient heavenly palace. The moment those words were spoken, the world seemed to erupt in murmurs. The looks towards Xiaoyu became more respectful. After all, anyone who had entered this place had received a status token. So they knew full well what a golden dragon disciple meant in the ancient heavenly palace. Xiaoyu didn't speak, only staring at Mu Chen and the others. Deep down, he could sense something unsettling. Mu Chen and the others exchanged surprised glances, clearly not expecting that Xiaoyu had also attained the status of a golden dragon disciple, a position even higher than Su Qingying's. However, the 4 of them were only mildly surprised. Unlike others who might show reverence, not a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Instead, after exchanging a look, a strange expression appeared on their faces. A golden dragon disciple, huh? Lin Jing smiled first. Seeing her smile, Mu Chen knew that she was about to start her no-holds-barred face-slapping mode. Sure enough, Lin Jing's delicate hand clenched, and a golden light appeared in her palm, with a flick of her wrist. A golden pillar of light shot into the sky, seemingly with a golden dragon coiling within it. The golden pillar surged upward, and many of the powerful figures from the great Xia dynasty were momentarily stunned. They quickly snapped out of their daze, their eyes filled with shock as they stared at the golden dragon token in Lin Jing's hand. Even Xia Yu's expression changed at that moment, unable to hide his astonishment. Is that the golden dragon token? The many powerful beings in the sky were also horrified. Who could have imagined that this seemingly beautiful young woman had actually obtained the title of a golden dragon disciple? Xiao Xiao, witnessing this scene, blinked her eyes in surprise. Then, she flashed a charming smile at Xia Yu, raised her hand, and another golden token appeared. Moments later, another golden pillar of light shot up into the sky. Mu Chen, watching the actions of the two women, couldn't help but smile. Seeing Xia Yu's increasingly grim expression, he felt a sense of satisfaction, as though he were relishing the sight of kicking someone while they're down. He then flicked his finger lightly, and a golden token appeared in his hand. Boom! 3 golden pillars shot up into the sky from Mu Chen and the others, their momentum overwhelming and terrifying. On the other hand, everyone from the great Xia dynasty was left speechless. Xia Hong, who had spoken earlier, was now as pale as a sheet. He never expected that he would try to use Xia Yu's status as a golden dragon disciple to suppress their morale, but instead, Mu Chen and the others had not only resisted but had pulled out 3 golden dragon tokens in an instant. Mu Chen smiled gently as he looked at the pale-faced Xia Hong, then turned his gaze to the increasingly ugly expression of Xia Yu. With a warm smile, he said, "The golden dragon disciple, what a coincidence, we are two."